you don't get that in the other modes, but in sport mode, you definitely get that additional kind of, sound and performance. I mean, the car definitely feels quicker in sport mode. Now,
welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today we have the 2024 Honda CR-V Sport Touring Hybrid. And I'm going to tell you about all the technology and features in this super fuel efficient compact SUV. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if you're new to the channel or this is content you're after, be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. So first, let's talk about the trims that are available for the 2024 Honda CR-V Hybrid. There's actually 3 trims. Now, there's a Sport Hybrid, there's a Sport L Hybrid, which we already have a review of that on the channel. So if you haven't watched that video yet, be sure to watch that one as well to learn all the key differences in that Sport L Hybrid trim. But today, we're working with the Sport Touring Hybrid. So it's the fully loaded trim, comes with all the bells and whistles. Now, that entry Sport Hybrid trim is priced at $34,350 MSRP. If you want that Sport L Hybrid that we've already reviewed, that's an extra $3,000 at $37,350. And if you want to go all in and get the Sport Touring Hybrid, that's actually $40,800 MSRP. So a little over 40 grand for a CR-V, but it definitely has a lot of features and technologies that we'll dive into here. Now, the color of the car that we have here today is Urban Gray Pearl, and we feature this on other Honda and Acuras on the channel. It's a newer color that they've introduced, and I think it's a really good color, not only on the CR-V, but this top touring trim here with a lot of the gloss black accents. It's an additional upcharge over the pricing that I mentioned. And it's also worth noting that whether you want the Sport or the Sport L Hybrid, those trims are actually available with a 2-wheel drive and all-wheel drive option. Now, that all-wheel drive option for those trims, you have to pay $1,500 to get it, whereas this Sport Touring Hybrid only comes all-wheel drive. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the exterior design. So this generation of CR-V really went upscale, offering a premium compact SUV design for the Honda brand, yet it still carries the same lineage and heritage to the previous CR-V generations. Now again, with this Sport Touring Hybrid having all the bells and whistles, let's look up front. Very clean design. You do get that black brow that goes over the headlights and integrates nicely over the grille. On other trims that aren't labeled Sport, that's actually chrome. So let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Do you like chrome? Do you like the gloss black accents here on this Sport trim? It carries down further into that aggressive grille design, kind of Honda's rugged SUV grille that they have here in the front of CR-V with the prominent Honda H badge dead center on. I think that looks really clean, looks really good, again, with that black brow right above it. You get full LED headlights, look really premium. And then down below, you do get 4 parking sensors on this trim. There's some honeycomb mesh down below, and you get those large silver kind of like faux intakes down below. So again, on certain trims, those are actually painted black, but here they're painted silver, and it stands out a little bit more. So let us know your guys' thoughts down below again on that. So as we make our way to the side of the vehicle, you'll see that this being the top trim gets the largest wheel and tire package for the CR-V. So these are actually 19-inch rims, which on the other trims, they're only 18s. And we're working with a 235 55R19 Michelin all-season tire. So really good wheel and tire setup, which are obviously geared to also help with fuel efficiency, given that this is a hybrid. But as we take a step back and you kind of take in the entire side profile of CR-V, again, like I said, with this generation, it looks really, really premium. For me, it's probably the best looking CR-V to date. So I really like the way that the entire cabin is pushed back. You have a very sharp character line that goes the entire length of the vehicle, which takes you to the rear, which for me, for CR-V, has always been quite iconic. And the fact that they have the long and vertical tail light design, which they carried over into this generation as well. Here, they're a full LED tail light design with really thick light bars that look great when they're lit up at night. Now in the rear on this Sport Touring Hybrid, you get a nice roof spoiler. You also get the CRV badging, the hybrid badging down below. On the right side, you're gonna get the Sport badging in black with the Touring badge down below to indicate that it is the top trim CRV. And just like up front, you're gonna get 4 parking sensors in the rear, a rear view camera, and those chrome exhaust finishers for the dual exhaust. So again, despite this being a hybrid, it still has sporty intentions in its design. Now, one of the other things is, and Honda has done this on other vehicles like the HR-V, instead of having another candy bar badge for all-wheel drive, they actually put it in print under the rear window wiper there. So that's kind of a unique touch point. But overall, again, I think this is one of the best CRVs from a design perspective that they've made to date. And I think we've covered just about all the exterior details. So next, let's go ahead and hop inside to talk about the interior. All right, here we are inside the CRV Sport Touring Hybrid. And just like I mentioned on the exterior of this vehicle, this is the top trim, comes fully loaded, has lots of great tech and features. So let's jump right into it. So as always, for me, I'm really a big fan of steering wheels in the way that they feel and in their size and diameter. And I think the CRV has a fantastic steering wheel. It is leather wrapped and it has orange contrast stitching. It's really nice. You have all of your volume controls and menu controls on the left and all of your safety and ADAS controls on the right. Now, with this being the top trim, there's even a heated steering wheel that comes standard, and that button is actually down here in the center. Normally this is open, but they've kind of filled in this space and they've added the heated steering wheel button, which is a really nice feature. Now, you do get paddle shifters here, but we'll talk about that more in the powertrain section. Other than that though, the CRV has a really clean and premium design. It carries over that honeycomb grille mesh that started with the Civic refresh a few years ago, but it's not an exact replica. There's also this kind of dimpled dash panel here, lots of gloss black treatment throughout, and that carries over into the doors as well. Up front, you do have a very nice screen. This is a 9-inch color touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. So that's a really nice feature to have. And it even has things like Sirius XM and Wi-Fi hotspot capability. Now, up front, you don't get a full digital instrument cluster on this generation of CRV. You do get a 7-inch digital screen off to the left though, which is customizable and shows you lots of different functionality like your navigation routing, your fuel range, and any other kind of safety alerts. So that is a nice touch point, but let us know down in the comments below, would you like to see a digital instrument cluster on the CRV? Would you like to see an even larger center screen? Please let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. But again, there are other good features in here. The HVAC, it's dual zone. You do get heated seats, but not ventilation. It is a 3-stage heated seat for both the driver and passenger. Down below in the center console area, you get a USB-A and USB-C. The A is for data though, the C is for charging. So unless you go wireless, you're gonna still have to find a USB-A plug somewhere. You do get a 12-volt socket, and then down below on this top trim, you do also get a wireless charging pad, which is a nice feature. Now, you also get a mechanical shift lever here. So there is no push button style shift gear. You're just gonna pull this back and forward. To the left of that, you do get your toggle for your drive modes. Again, we'll cover that during the drive review. Hill descent control, your electronic parking brake, and brake hold. Behind all that, you get 2 cup holders, which are decent size. They're not gonna fit the super huge 32-ounce bottles though. A little cubby space here, and a generous center console area. There's a lot of space down here, so that's really nice. Other than that, you got some really premium touch points throughout. The seats actually are really comfortable in CRV, and they have a nice design with this kind of orange contrast stitching throughout. So that's a really premium touch point. On the driver's side, there are 10-way power seat adjustability, and you do get 2 memory seatings on this trim as well. On the passenger seat, you only get 4-way adjustability, which again is pretty common in this segment. And then lastly, you do get a power moonroof here, but not a full opening panoramic roof, not in this class. And like I've always said, I love my music, so I like the fact that this top trim comes with that 12 speaker premium Bose audio system. So it's a really good system, and it's definitely a nice step up compared to some of the other audio features. With that, I think we've covered most of the key features up front. So next, let's go ahead and hop in the rear. All right, here we are in the rear of the CR-V Sport Touring Hybrid. So just like the front, there's really good materials throughout. That kind of leather seating surface carries to the rear, as does that orange contrast stitching on the seats and even a little bit here on the door lining. So that is a really nice touch point. You still get that kind of gloss black treatment up front, speakers for that Bose premium sound system, and even on the door lining here on the bottom, it says CR-V like stamped into it. So that's kind of a nice little touch point, just again adds to some of the premium features throughout the car. You only get one mat pocket back here on the passenger side, but you do have HVAC vents and the ability to adjust the fan blower, but you don't get full control back here. Down below on this top trim, you do get two USB-C charger ports, so that's nice to have that in the rear. And again, as far as like space, now this is my like kind of driver position here. I have tons of space in the CR-V, so it's a true 5-passenger family vehicle. Fit 3 adults back here, no problem. Tons of knee room. Again, I'm about 5'10", tons of headroom and shoulder room as well. There's only a slight hump in the floor for the all-wheel drive system, but it's pretty minor and it's not going to impede on the person sitting in the middle. And as far as that middle seat, you do get a pull-down armrest with cup holders here and the headrest that goes up. So really good space for all around. And again, I don't have one in the seat today, but if you were to plug in a booster seat in the back or even a rear-facing child seat, you're going to have plenty of space in the CR-V. Not to mention the fact that if you are a parent and having to get in and out, the CR-V has doors with hinges that allow it to go pretty much straight out. So super easy to get your stuff in, get your kids in the car, which makes this an awesome family vehicle. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the cargo space. All right, next, let's go ahead and talk about the cargo space of the CR-V Sport Touring Hybrid. Now, with this being the top trim, it does have the hands-free access. So as long as you have the key fob on you, you should be able to kick under the rear bumper and have the power tailgate open up. So we're gonna give this a try, see how it works. So here we go. One more time. So there you go. It does take a little bit getting used to kicking under the rear bumper. It's kind of centered there, but once you do that, the power tailgate opens up. So inside here, you have a lot of space, and despite it being a hybrid, it's still a flat surface. You know, sometimes you lose some space because they're packaging the batteries and things back here, but that's not the case with this generation of CR-V hybrids. So as it is with the seats up, you actually have 34.7 cubic feet of space. And if you were to fold both seats down, that actually grows to 76.5 cubic feet of space. And it's really nice because the seats are 60-40 folding rear seats in the back, and they're really easy to access as far as folding them down. So lots of good space back here that's not compromised by the hybrid system. Other than that, you do have LED lighting back here, a 12-volt socket, and you can also see the big subwoofer for that Bose premium sound system. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain. All right, here's the powertrain of the CR-V Sport Touring Hybrid. And again, we've covered the Sport L Hybrid for the CR-V on this channel, as well as the Accord and even Civic variations of their hybrid powertrain. So if you haven't watched those videos, be sure to check them out. But let's go into it again for this Sport Touring Hybrid. So they all use Honda's new 2-motor hybrid system. So there's a 2-liter Atkinson engine made it to 2 electric motors. Now, one is actually kind of attached to the engine, and it basically spins as a generator to help charge the battery. There's a second motor that's actually driving the wheels, and most cases that's what's happening. Only in limited cases is the engine actually driving the front wheels, and that's usually at highway cruising speeds. But for all intents and purposes, it's essentially an EV, right? Just using the motor to power the front wheels. With that, the total system combined output is 204 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque from 0 RPM. So again, that's the benefit of the electrification. So this thing feels pretty quick around town. And like I said earlier, there is a front-wheel drive version available on the 2 entry trims, and this sport touring hybrid only comes with all-wheel drive. But there's no better way than to prove that out than to go ahead and get behind the wheel. So next, let's take this thing for a drive.
All right, here we are inside the CRV Sport Touring Hybrid. I'm gonna go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So grab my seat belt, go ahead and plug that in, and foot on brake, push the power button and turn it on, and there you go, the car's on. So it's super quiet, right? It's not only super quiet when you turn it on, but while you drive too, right? I mean, again, that's one of the benefits of the hybrid drivetrain. So we'll go ahead and take off here. So again, there's a mechanical shift lever. I just put it in reverse, and now you probably are hearing a little bit of that humming sound, and we've addressed it in other videos, but again, if you're not familiar with what it is, it's actually a government regulation that car manufacturers have to add that artificial sound to the outside of vehicles so that people know that a car is coming up. Someone, otherwise it's so quiet, they may not know that a vehicle is actually approaching them. So that's what that sound is. On hybrids, it's only while you're in reverse, right, while you're backing out. On some of the EVs, it's actually while you're taking off and driving as well. But outside of that, I mean, again, I'm already on my way here, and this car is just super quiet, right? It's super refined. Now, as I mentioned in the powertrain section, there is this 2-liter Atkinson engine that's combined with an electric motor that's really there to act as a generator in most cases to help charge up the battery. That's kind of a little bit of the sound that you get from up front. Every now and then you hear that kind of spinning sound, and it kind of sounds like it's kind of almost a little grinding sound a little bit. That's really all you're getting though. Outside of that, you're just kind of getting that like almost EV driving experience with the CRV sport touring hybrid. Now, one of the other things that we should just get right off the bat is the fuel efficiency. So the EPA ratings for this specific trim, which admittedly is a little bit lower than the other trims because it has the larger 19-inch wheels on it, it's actually set at 40 miles per gallon in the city, 34 miles per gallon on the highway, and 37 miles per gallon combined. So again, thinking that this is a compact, 5-passenger family SUV, I still think those figures are really impressive, all things considered. And it's easy to not only match those figures in real-world driving, but to actually best them as well. So, it's not just numbers on paper. So, one of the things that we can also talk about is there's drive modes, right? So there's this little toggle here for drive modes. There's actually 4 drive modes available. You cycle through them with this little toggle. There's a snow mode, which we're not going to test out today. There is an econ mode, so I'm going to start driving in that now. And one of the things, like most econ modes that you'll find in the Honda products, is it just kind of dials everything back a bit. So what it does is it dials back the throttle response. I'm running with no HVAC or AC right now, but if I was, it would kind of tone it down a little bit, lower the fan speed. And again, it's doing all of this to get the best fuel efficiency, hence the econ driving mode. You'll see it displayed in the little digital instrument cluster up front that's 7 inches in size. It shows you a little leaf and it says econ, but the car is still pretty quick, even in econ mode. And again, some of that is just that 0 to 30 kind of instant torque and power that you're feeling. But you do notice when you get into it that you can feel that it's being throttled back a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll switch up into normal mode, and instantly, you just feel with like the same amount of throttle applied, just a little bit more power. It doesn't really feel like it's adjusting the steering, or if it is, it's not anything significant. But it's enough where, like I said, at least from a throttle perspective, you can instantly feel the difference. Now, one of the other things that we'll talk about is the sport mode. So I'll go ahead and push it up into that. Now, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the engine kind of kicking in, and you really hear that now. You don't get that in the other modes, but in sport mode, you definitely get that additional kind of sound and performance. I mean, the car definitely feels quicker in sport mode. Now, one of the other things that we talked about in the interior section are the paddle shifters on the wheel. But again, since there's technically no transmission, it's just the motors powering the wheels. What the paddle shifters do is actually adjust the brake regen function. So what that does is, again, it basically slows you down to help regen energy and, like I said, help fill that battery pack back up. But what's unique is the CR-V has 4 levels of brake regen, right? So essentially you're controlling them with the paddle shifters, and when you're in, let's go back to the normal drive mode, for example, the brake regen will actually kind of go away. So you are kind of, every time you want to slow down, you kind of click once to get to 2, you click again to get to 3, and then you click again to get to the 4th level of regen. So one thing is, when you're in the normal driving mode, the brake regen will stay on for a pretty extended period of time. You basically have 4 levels of regen to work with. When you're in the sport mode, what you'll see is a D, and then they add a little M in there. That's kind of like a manual setting for the regen function as well. And really all that does, that gives you a little bit more control over the regen function. But for me, I think when you're driving with like the 4th level of regen in the car, it gives a lot of braking effort. It's not full on one pedal driving, and it won't bring you to a complete stop. Actually check our Accord hybrid video to learn about that, because the Accord actually gets 2 more levels of regen over the CR-V, and because of that, it actually does very close to one pedal driving. So to me, that is a pretty big difference than the CR-V driving modes. But we'll go ahead and talk about some of the acceleration and the feel that you're going to get in the CR-V. Again, I think this car is still, all things considered, really fun to drive and pretty sporty to drive as well. The other cool thing is, being the hybrid, in the center display here, there's an icon for power flow. So if you push that, it gives you some cool graphics. It shows you when the electric drive motor is powering the front wheels, and at the same time when it's charging up the battery as well. So I'm in sport driving mode. I'm gonna click down to just 1 level of regen and then kind of get into it here, and again, you can hear the engine now kick in. And I mean, this car is pretty quick. I mean, mostly from a stop. I mean, mid-throttle acceleration is pretty good. It's very good for a CR-V, but it's really from a dead stop where you feel that 0 RPM acceleration. So we'll do one last blast of that before we go ahead and wrap up this drive video. And of course, I mean, that's not what this car is about. It's a CR-V, but it's refined. The NVH in here is really good. The ride quality is really good. It feels like a very, very premium experience. So we'll go ahead here, we'll come to a stop, and I'll show you what the acceleration is from a 0 start in sport mode. So let's actually let some traffic go by here, and then we'll go ahead and do that. Let's let this guy go. And so we're gonna come to a stop, and I'll show you what the acceleration is from a 0 start in the CR-V hybrid at sport mode. So here we go, ready? And full flooring. So that shot it up, and there's 50 miles an hour, and I mean, there's almost 60. So I mean, the car is pretty quick, all things considered. You notice there's a little bit of a lag in the beginning, but once this thing takes up, it actually builds speed pretty quickly. Like I said, again, it's a CR-V. It's not meant for sport driving and race car style driving, but it's pretty quick, all things considered. And like I said, with the features, the technology, having the nice things like the Bose premium sound system for just over $40,000 MSRP, I also think it's a really good value as well. So let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below, and let us know if you want to see other trims or other hybrids on this channel. We're happy to bring it with you. But with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this drive video.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. What did you think of the 2024 Honda CR-V Sport Touring Hybrid? Are you gonna just get the entry trim? Are you gonna get that Sport L Hybrid that we've already reviewed on the channel? Or are you gonna jump all the way to this top Sport Touring Hybrid trim, which again is over $40,000 MSRP? But I think based on all the features, technology, and design that we covered today, I think it's actually still a really good value at that price point. But as always, let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Would you like to see more trims on the channel? Would you like to see competitors on this channel? We're happy to bring it with you. So if you've joined us before, thank you so much. But if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. Thanks, and we'll see you at the next episode.